Welcome back to another episode of the Brown Sugar Cafe podcast, the place where poetry meets conversation. I'm your host, Terrence P. Elmore, and before we get into today's topic, make sure you hit that plus sign so you don't miss an episode. Also, please subscribe to my blog, thebrownssugarcafe.blog, and if you find any value in this episode or any other episodes, make sure you leave a heartfelt review. So with that being said, let's get to it. Welcome back to another episode of the Brown Sugar Cafe podcast. I hope that you all are taking care of yourselves. Hope that you all are doing well. It's been a very interesting beginning of the year, but we're gonna keep rolling. Hey, I got another special guest, a return guest. He's been on the show before. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am Eric Harrison, and I love music and I love art, so that's why me and him vibe. So let's get it.
Let's get it. How you been, man, since we last had you on the show?
Man, I've been good. Transitioning. I moved from Houston to Austin. Decided to take up my nomadic spirit and move again. And I'm here to probably announce to the world that I ain't going nowhere anytime too soon because this place pretty much has everything that I've been looking for in all parts of the country. So that move happened, and then I've kind of done some different things with my coaching and stuff like that. We'll talk about that as we go along.
Yeah, man, we had some conversation in the pre-show about Austin, and yeah, I got to make my way out there and visit.
Yes, sir.
Real soon.
Anybody who's watching this that's in Austin, hit him up and send him some stuff and get him there. Get him there. He'll love it.
So, express your perspective has gone through some evolution since the last time I had you on. You've been doing some things. You've been doing some articles on LinkedIn, tapping into AI, man, a number of things.
Yes, sir.
From the last time you were on the show until now, what has changed and what led to this change?
One of the major things that led to the overhaul of pretty much everything I was doing is I had to ask myself, was this really a business where it was making some type of revenue or income, or was it just me being a good friend to people, giving great advice, but then not seeing any business income or anything coming from the business to sustain a business. I think many times people get caught up in the thing they love and they love it so much, they forget all the other things that are connected to doing business. And I think I got caught up in that. I love helping people. I've always helped people all my life. And I've loved to sit down and help people find solutions, right? So my love for doing that got in the way of me running my business. It really did. And by doing that, I just started to see some things fall off. I have a website, I have things that I have to pay for. And I was pretty much paying for that out of my own pocket. I would make money in other places and I would, rob Peter to pay Paul. And that just wasn't good for me. And I just got tired of that. So in order to make that change, I had to revamp some things and do some things differently, base some things on frameworks and processes and all that fun stuff. And not really, it's not fun. But anyway, I had to do that.
Hey, I was just about to ask you, I was like, you found some fun in processes and stuff? Hey, let me know.
Yeah, we can talk about it, man. And I actually got some people around me who are experts at that, right? They do that. And by them doing that, it put me in a very uncomfortable space. It made me, kind of antsy because it challenged pretty much everything that I was doing. And to have everything that you're doing being challenged in some type of way, it's not a good feeling, especially when you have all these grays on your chin and in your head, and you've been doing the same thing for so long. Now somebody asking you questions about it and challenging you, that ego tries to step up. But the humility of not having a successful business made me listen.
You said something earlier that I instantly thought about, that you're always talking about us getting in our own way
Hmm.
and not being
Yes.
willing to be taught, not be willing to learn. And you
Hmm.
talked about how difficult it could be at a certain age, at a certain point in your life. I find it that it takes some practice. It's not easy. I'm telling you from
Definitely
experience,
not.
it's not easy.
It's
But
not.
when you know that you have a point you're trying to reach, when you know you have a certain goal, for me, I don't know if it was like that for you, but something kicks in and it's
Yeah.
like, I gotta listen. I gotta
Exactly.
listen. It's like, even though I've been doing this the same way forever, and give yourself credit. Those things were working in the beginning, but things
Yes.
shift, things change.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
we're at a point in the world where a lot of things are changing. There's the introduction of AI.
Hmm.
You've been an advocate for us learning AI, us using it as
Yes.
a tool. How have you found AI to be beneficial, if at all, to your business and what you're doing?
Great question. So at first, I don't know if I was against it, but I did not attach myself to it right away, because whenever you're in the arts, you write, you play music, or you love the arts, you tend to believe that anything that is dealing with ones and zeros or a machine really can't help you to really express yourself artistically the way you want to.
Yeah.
You may have a synthesizer that's electronic. You may have, a beat machine or a drum machine or MPC 3000 for y'all that's in the, hip hop industry. Yeah, I love hip hop too. You may have those electronic things that you could do all this stuff with, but then you've got to hit it a certain way and you've got to hear it a certain way and it has to process a certain way. But what I found is that with machine learning, these things can pick up on that stuff very, very easily. And when you have something at such a large scale that can pull in everything that everybody's been doing, and you have access to that, then it's actually pretty powerful. Now, I will say this, I think that there's always something to human intervention and human interactivity. And this is why. AI is a tool, and it's become a tool for Express Your Perspective, for EYP coaching, for the EL Harrison experience. It's a tool to help us to be able to coach you better, or to be able to help us see things that we didn't see before. Before, we would still have blind spots, right? We would kind of ascertain and guess at things, and we wouldn't have access to some of the things that we have now. Some of the information that we can get from AI, there's no way that I would have been able to access, is I can go there, ask certain questions a certain way, and get stuff that probably would have took me weeks, months, and then maybe even years to get. So I've put that into my practice so that I can speed things up and help to see exactly what's going on with a person, to be able to understand, the cognitive things that are going on in their minds a little bit better, so that I can reference other cases from other people. So then I can pinpoint my coaching to a point where it's going to help them and it's going to take them to the place that they need to go a little bit faster, a little bit quicker. Now, some people that want to make money and say, "Oh, draw it out and do it," I don't like doing that. I want to get people to the place that they need to be as quickly as possible, so that then they can start seeing results. So that's what AI has done for me. And that's why I had to put it into all of the businesses that I'm involved in.
When you touched on art, I'm just thinking like,
Hmm.
I see artists taking advantage of it when it comes to
Yeah.
like visual components. There's even a photographer.
Yes.
She has a page dedicated to like AI artwork and
Hmm.
different things, and they're pretty dope. And I saw where she actually sold a
Yes.
painting, well,
Hmm.
an
Yeah.
image that was
Yeah.
made from
Yeah.
AI, and
Yeah.
I was just baffled. Like, when you think about AI, most of us, especially if you've seen Terminator, that's like the first thing that comes to mind, right? It's the first thing. And
Yeah.
even with like I think it was, yeah, Terminator Genesis,
Yeah. I was
how
just about
that
to say that.
hey, that is the
Yeah,
one that had me like, wow, because they made it attractive. It
yeah,
was like this new thing, and everybody wanted to
right,
download it on their phone. And I'm just like, yeah, yeah, because growing up and stuff, they always try to have like instill this fear in us about certain things
yes,
happening or whatever. But
exactly.
I've come to see like over time, it's just being ignorant to the things that are coming, like the new technologies that are
Yeah, man,
flowing in and stuff, and it's
right,
not really educating yourself.
exactly. That's on point. The one thing that AI has done for me is it's challenged me to learn more. Recently, at the time that we're talking right now, and I don't know if you've seen the news, but China has actually now created an AI platform from open source code. Now, for anybody that does not know what
Wow.
open source code is, that means the type of code that you have to pay nothing for. You don't have to go to a Microsoft. You don't have to go
Yeah.
to the big boys to be able to develop AI. Before, you had to go to places like OpenAI and all these places because it was so proprietary. Now, what they've done is they've built a model, right, based on open source code. So if you know anything about the internet, and you probably remember this, you probably old enough to remember this. When the internet first came out, not everybody had it
No.
because the technology was tough. Number one, tough to set up. It was
Yeah.
costly. It was hard.
Yeah.
But what happened was human intervention. They got that new thing, and then this kicked in, and they said, "Wait a minute, we can do this a little more efficient. We can do this a little bit better. Let's tinker with this. Let's mess with this. Let's do." And then the internet got cheaper. Accessibility got a little easier. Remember AOL with the little noise you used to make? That noise.
Yeah, you
Remember
had to
that?
plug in the house phone, man. You couldn't make any
Dude,
phone
you
calls
had
or
to plug
receive phone
it. You was
calls.
plugged into the phone cord, right? Exactly. Then it was going through copper wiring and all of this stuff, and then it went through the cable
Yeah.
wire, and now it's going through fiber optics. So things innovated and kept going, and people had to implement those innovations. Well, AI is the same way. By that company, and I'm not going to say the name on here, but that company actually built this thing, and then it started affecting the markets and all this stuff. If you look on the markets, things got affected by it. So what happens is whenever there's anything new, no matter what it is, it's going to spark our minds to want to innovate it, make it better. So I would even say a creative mind will see it as a tool, right? And use it to improve life and to even make it more efficient so it can help more people. So we have to see things from that way, and that standpoint. And a lot of that is based on the foundation that you build in your own life.
You keep saying tool, and I like that you
Hmm.
keep saying that. It's because
Hmm.
I think a lot of people use AI as a replacement for what they're doing,
Man, dude, yeah,
but it's
yeah,
supposed to be a tool to enhance what we're already
exactly,
doing, make us more efficient.
exactly.
Um, as you said earlier, help us find certain things in certain spots that we may not readily see, but it can
Hmm.
help highlight that so we can pay more attention to
Exactly.
it. And I think where when it comes to like art, music, and stuff like that, some people aren't using it as a tool.
Hmm.
They're taking the
Hmm.
easy way out instead of, putting together a beat. They may let AI just create the whole thing.
Right, right, right. But I'm gonna tell you something right now with the way technology is evolving, and this actually goes with coaching as well, because I see it even in how I coach, because there's actually and I can't remember, I'm not gonna say the company's name, but there's a company out there that has an AI generated, it's an AI generated coaching platform. But literally you can download it on your phone, put certain prompts in there, and you can say, well, hey, I feel like this, I didn't accomplish this, I got these goals, this and that, blah, 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 blah. And what it'll do is it'll prompt you and send you stuff, send you questions. Hey, what about this? Fill this out, send this back. And then you're literally going back and forth with an AI learning model.
Hmm.
And but I tried it. And I'm gonna tell you something, man. A lot of the answers, some of them were the same, right?
Yeah.
Some of them were totally off. because I would
that
ask
was one.
about one
Yeah,
thing and it'll tell me about something totally else, something else. So things aren't as advanced as what people think. So when I say I use it as a tool in my coaching practice, it is a combination of my years of experience, the things that I read about and learn about every single day. If I was to zoom out in this room, like I'm glad I got this little narrow thing right here, because if you zoomed out into this room, there's books and all kinds of stuff everywhere. I promise you that. So I'm always studying, always getting better myself. And then what AI does is that if I have a blind spot, it helps to fill that blind spot. So it's not everything. And I think that's the part that people miss. They think that it's going to replace you totally, and you can't use any of the stuff that you have up here or in your spirit. We can, if we need to get into
yeah,
that, we can. Because it cannot replicate
no,
anything that's spiritual whatsoever.
at
So
all.
that connection, it can never breach. Never. There's always heroes and villains.
Yeah,
Heroes and villains have been here since the world has been here, right?
yep,
It's just the way it is. And I keep connecting it back to the coaching piece and everything that I deal with, because if you don't have your own firm foundation in
that's it.
anything,
Yeah,
no matter what it is, and that's why I call AI a tool, because we have other tools too, whether it's tools for building, hammers, nails, drills, screws, or tools for cooking, knives, stoves, pots, grills, right? But if you use any of those things without a firm foundation in knowing how to use them, then it's inevitable that you will abuse them. I mean, Miles Monroe said that if you don't know the purpose of a thing, then it's inevitable that you will abuse it. So
yep,
AI is basically the same thing. If you don't have any foundational principles that you're entering into using that thing with, you should even be that same way with relationships, right? It's and
right.
and and basically we have a relationship with everything. The tools, we have a relationship with them. We know, hey, I need you to do this for me. I'm going to use you this way. You're going to do this for me, and I'm going to get this result. Right? Same with a person. Tools are the same way. AI should be the same thing. You should not go into it full board, and you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have a plan. You should have something that, like, as a guardrail, that's your firm foundation.
We talked about in the pre-show that was your framework,
Hmm.
how that's a big component. We
Yes.
are, I don't know what time is when this episode will air, but we're recording this in January. It's the end of
Hmm.
January, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people had New Year's resolutions. Some people still sticking with them. Some people kind
Yes.
of fell off. How does that framework that we kind of touched on kind of help with that? Like, say you're at the cusp of what you're doing in the year, and you're
Hmm.
grinding, and now you've kind of
Exactly.
plateaued a little bit and kind of
Hmm.
coasting. What would you
Right.
say to that person?
Well, the one thing that I would definitely do, the first thing I'm gonna do is congratulate you. Congratulations that you had the courage to get started. Look, uh, we have a billion things out here that motivate us on a daily basis. And what motivation means is that motivation is the thing that gets you started in something. A motivational speech will trigger something with you. And now, when you leave that place that you heard that speech, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this happen. It gets you started. Car salesmen car salesmen are motivators.
Yeah,
They are.
yeah,
They get you in that car, it smell good. They talking to
yeah,
you, this and that, boo, 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 boo. You going back and forth. They are motivators because they're trying to get you to spend that money on that car. Real estate agents are motivators.
yeah,
They're motivators. They are trying to get you to spend that bread. So they motivate you. Hey, the house is nice, and don't you see that room? Oh my God! And just imagine your furniture in here, and but motivation is not the thing that keeps you going. It
mm,
only is the purpose of motivation is just to get you started. The thing that keeps you going is inspiration, because the main word that's a part of inspiration is inspire, which means to breathe life into. So if you're inspired to do something, it is breathing life into the thing that you are motivated to get started. So if I get started on something, you call me and say, "Hey man, how you doing?" I'm like, "Man, I had a rough day. I really didn't feel like, studying today. I'm just off." Now your words become inspiration to keep me going or keep me consistent. A lot of times people start things at the beginning of the year and they are motivated. They're not only motivated by the great things they hear from people, but they're motivated by the time itself. It's the new year, New Year's resolutions, new year, new you, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
That's all coming out. We got these sayings. What is it? Thrive in 2025, all this stuff.
Yep.
So that is the time to start. So that's easy. That's easy to start. You'll probably even see a few results, right? But then you went through the pain of starting, but you got to realize that you're going to go through another level of pain. So you started and you got to here. Well, in order to get to here, you've got to make more sacrifices. You've got to even experience more pain because you'll plateau and you'll be right here and you won't see anything else happening. So, what do you have to do? You've got to change and go through even more pain, more uncomfortable moments to go here. That's where a framework comes in. A framework is something that you continue to have. It's your foundation that you're based on, and you continue to iterate it or do it over and over and over again. You stay consistent with it, and then you can measure it, you can see your results, you can make changes, and all those types of things. And that's another thing that I did when you said I took my hiatus, got away, and made some changes, is that I've actually built a framework for people so that when I coach them, I drop them into that framework and then we work from there.
Yeah. Gotta have those growing pains. Uh,
Dude, bro, you hooped. Let me bring it home to you.
hey,
You started. You got good at going left. And you can go left strong and you can go left strong with two dribbles. But what happens when you go past two dribbles? When
yep,
they pick you up at half court and you got to take more than two dribbles to get to the
yep.
rack. You got to go through some pain to be able to go further than two dribbles. The- Everything, a relationship, bruh. You married. Do you actually think that the stuff that y'all was doing when you got married, how y'all communicated, how y'all talk to each other, is the same as right
Nah.
now?
Mm.
Absolutely not. You have to go through growing pains to be able to experience another level of communication, another level of joy in your relationship. So it's interwoven in everything that we do. And that's why you have to have that as a foundation. And then you've got these things that you do to keep going up and keep improving. So it's in everything that we do.
Yeah, even going back to relationships, it's like we're all growing. We're
Man,
all
bruh,
yeah,
constantly.
so it's like things that you may like now, you probably didn't like 5 years ago. There's things she may not like that
Hmm.
she used to like or will like, and it's like my thing with when it comes to relationship is like communication is very important.
All day, every day. All
Communication
day,
is
every
very
day.
important because I mean,
All day, every day.
sometimes it could be stuff like last week, for instance. I mean, this is kind of trivial, but my wife
Hmm.
didn't like black beans before we started dating. It
Bruh,
was just the look of them.
I was just talking about food last night. Man, don't even trip. Now, why would you say that? You must have put a bug in my house last night before
Hey,
this interview, because I'm swear I talked about the same exact thing last night.
she
That's
didn't
wild.
like them, how they looked or whatever, and I
Hmm.
convinced her to try them. She loves them because I love the black beans. She loves them. She might even love them more than me. But just being willing to try, and one thing she told me, and I was just like, wow. She was like, I inspire her to try different things because I'm willing to do it.
It's beautiful.
One of the
It's
first
beautiful.
dates we went on, it was maybe it's third or something like that. We went to this restaurant and it was a burger restaurant and they had a
Hmm.
mushroom burger on there. And I was like, oh,
Hmm.
I always wanted to see what a mushroom burger tastes like, so I ordered it. And she was like, oh, you getting a burger with just
Hmm.
mushroom? She was like, you that's what you normally get? I was like, no. And she was
Right.
like, what? I said, no, I never had it and I just wanted to try it. She was like, wow. So you willing to try a whole burger? I was like, hey, I won't know if I like it unless I try it. So she
Exactly.
says since that time, she just with different things, she always refers back to me and my willingness to
Yeah,
try
man.
stuff. And if it, even with like different things I try with like my podcast or
Mhm.
like my poetry, whatever,
Yeah,
even if it doesn't work the way I wanted to, I was still willing to try it.
man. But see, again, and I keep bringing this back up. That's a part of your framework. That's a part of who you are. You are willing to try things. You're willing to try new things. And like I told you, man, it's like we could just talk about this willy nilly, but a lot of times we have to boil things down to the real reason why we do it and the real reason why we see results, right? I, the one thing that I never liked is when I lucked up on a result because
Mm,
many times if I lucked up on it, I never knew how I got there.
yeah.
Like in class, when you actually happen to get the right answer on the math problem,
Yes,
but you
but you
didn't do
don't
the
know
work
how.
to get to that answer, and then when the test comes, you don't know how to do it because all the
At
numbers are
all.
different. But if you knew how to do it, you could do that thing too. Like, I have bumped my head against that so many times. And let's roll it all the way back to the business piece. Dude, that's why my business wasn't growing because I was lucking up on stuff. Or I was pulling stuff out of my butt saying it and it was cool and everybody liked it, but I didn't know how to monetize it. I didn't know how to run the business. I didn't know how to pay the bills for the none of that stuff. I was just operating on something just to be doing it and didn't know how to run that business so that I could even get better at it. So you know, when you understand that stuff and you got that foundation and you're working within a framework, all of us do, whether we know it or not, ones that help us fail, ones that help us to succeed, then you realize, like, okay, this is how I got here. Either you can keep doing it to get better, which means all you people that started January 1 to now, you can keep doing it, make some changes, get better, or you can notice things that you're doing, stop them so you can stop getting those crazy debilitating results. So yeah, man, it's believe me, that's why your boy had to step away for a minute so I can understand this.
Hey man, you brought back some memories talking about school. It's been some tests, some
Yeah, man.
quizzes that homework or whatever, and I'm like, just going through the motions, get the thing back. Ah, I got it. So I'm like, yeah, I got it.
And you
And like you
remember back
said,
in the day,
yeah,
you can look at the back of the book.
yeah, yeah,
See, you get the back of the book had the answer. So you, man, I ain't got
yeah.
time for this. I'm going to the back of the book.
Hey,
When the test come, you
whole
done.
different setup, different. The numbers are different, but the
Yeah, bro.
concept and the framework is there to solve the problem. But taking
That's it.
shortcuts and not being, willing to get some growing pains and maybe actually learn the process, because one of the most things that was annoying was, now in some cases I could do work my way and get the answer. It would bother
Yes.
me when I get professors who wouldn't give me full credit because I didn't do the work exactly the way they
Yeah.
wanted it to. And then
Yeah.
one
I
time
like
I
that.
had a class in college, I don't remember, it might have been E&M, but because I didn't do the problem the way the professor showed us how to do it when it came time for a test, this particular question was difficult for me to do because
Mhm.
he fixed it in such a way, and because he noticed some of us would still be doing our thing. So he
Mhm.
fixed it in such a way that we could only get the answer doing it his way. And that
Yeah.
moment was like an aha moment for me. And I
Mhm.
think I was a sophomore, maybe sophomore or junior, where I thought about it. I
Mhm.
was like, my way is not the only way.
That's
Even if
good.
I can get the same results, I might be missing something with the process along the way that can teach me
Mhm.
something later on.
Exactly. Bro, you got it. That's it. What you learned in school can be replicated in almost every area of your life. There's no doubt about that. That's why I keep mentioning the framework, and you've seen it, man. You've seen it online and my social media, the ABLE framework. That's what I've called it, and it's based on Numbers 13 in the Bible, and it's wild, man. It talks about when Moses sent the spies. into the land, into the promised land. And they were promised. That's why they call it the promised land, because it was
Yeah.
promised to them. And he said, okay, let's make sure this is the spot and what we got to go through it. Now, remember, before that, God already told him, yo, you got it. Just go.
Yep.
Of course, our own human things.
Always.
We got to check it out
Got
and,
to make
and
sure
put our own
first.
mind in it and mess it all up. We're going to do our process, look, and not the process that we know going to work, which is God's. But anyway, they went, they did the spine, they did their reconnaissance work, came back, and they brought the report. Yeah, flowing with milk and honey, grapes as big as my head. Everything is good. Like, man, it's dope. Like, it's there. They're like, cool. But two of the dudes was like, yo, man, it's giants. Like, them marks are big. The Hittites, the Abusites, all the ites. All the ites. There was two dudes. But the one that spoke up at this point was Caleb. And Caleb said that we are well able to go into the land and possess it.
Yep.
And that's where it kicked off in my brain, the able framework. The able framework. We have a lot of things that come at us that tell us we can't do it. Right now, again, it's about January. Whenever they see this, it may be April, but at the time we record this, January, and you just getting your thing, and stuff's popping up that's making it like, I can't make it. I can't do this. I can't. But you have to continue to know that you're well able to do that. And the only way that you know that you're well able to do it is to have a framework, a foundation, something you build upon that you can be consistent in. So that's actually where that came from. And that's why I've been pushing the able framework, because I do it in my own life every single day.
Hey, we all go through times where we doubt ourselves.
Bruh,
Somebody be,
please.
you lying if you say you never have. It's
Bruh, I doubted myself today. Are you kidding me? Come on, man. We know the power of our words.
yep.
Before I knew it, man, I just can't get this.
Yep.
And I had to check myself. What are you, bruh? No, stop. You can sit down, sit with it. And I wound up getting it, but man, we're commanded not to fear, right?
Right.
But it didn't say don't ever feel fear. It said don't continue in it. So, bro, it's no different that if somebody came and hit you in the stomach, you're gonna bend over.
Yeah, you're gonna feel that.
Fear gonna come. But what you gonna do once the fear comes? Once you get up and realize you've been hit, that's what matters. What you do after that. So doubt, fear, and all that stuff gonna come, man. Been for years, dude. Living as a Christian, straight up. Man, you read these scriptures, you hear certain people, you be like, you ain't supposed to fear. So you literally
Oh
sitting
man.
there,
Yeah.
gritting your teeth,
Yeah.
feeling crazy because you felt fear or you felt a feeling.
Yeah.
That ain't,
Yeah.
bro. When I realized that, man, this set me free. And
Yeah.
again, that's one of the reasons why I coach people, man, because I had to let people know, like, yo, you're going to feel these things. You're
You're
gonna
going
worry.
to. You're going to.
You mean to tell me you ain't gonna worry?
It
If your daughter is out and you told her to be in at 8 o'clock and it is now 10:30, you're not gonna worry. That don't even make sense. That's doesn't make sense. But you need to know how to deal with those feelings,
Yeah. Yeah.
because really those feelings are just alarms to let you know that something's wrong.
That's it.
Worry is just there to say, hey, this ain't right. Deal with it and deal with the worry too. But to say that you'll never feel those, man, if I get around somebody that say they don't feel none of that stuff, I'm running. I'm
Yeah.
going that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they have a lot. That's a lot of built up stuff inside and emotions.
Yeah,
Because
man.
that always troubled me too. And
Yeah.
our people they were like, "Well, God has not given us the spirit of fear." Like say it. That doesn't mean we won't feel fear. You can't stay there. And
Yeah.
I really dislike when people get to the point where instead of saying they're not feeling well, they're not going to claim that they're not feeling well. But I'm like, if you're not feeling well, you have to acknowledge that so you
You
can
have
do
to.
what you need to do to feel better. Just
Dude.
ignoring it and saying that you're not claiming it, it's like you're not saying like this is the will for my life. You're saying
Exactly.
something is wrong.
Something is
I
off.
need I need to address it. When it
Yes.
comes to mental health, my uncle, I can't remember the statistics about it, but he was saying that And this was like right after pandemic that he learned that Christians had like a high percentage of like depression
Yeah.
and suicidal thoughts and
Yeah.
things like that,
Mhm.
because there's this stigma. If you need help, you can't tell anybody. You just have to
Yeah.
pray it away because it's seen as a sign of weakness. It's seen as
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
have faith. But that's not
Exactly.
true. You
No.
have to acknowledge there's a problem to fix the problem. You
Yeah.
saying, I don't have it all together and I'm
Mhm.
not feeling well, that does not say you don't have faith that God will bring you out and bring you through.
Exactly,
That
bro.
is saying you notice something is wrong. Now
Mhm.
you can address it. Now you can get the help. Be that
Exactly.
professional help, which is perfectly fine. Pray, but take some action to it. That's the
Right.
thing that's like, come on, man. You tell people
Man.
to pray, faith without works is dead. You tell them to pray and do these different things, but when it comes to mental health, it's like, well, you just need to pray, or somebody's going through something.
Exactly.
The other thing that gets me is like, well, what did they do wrong? Life hits people in different
Bruh,
ways.
you're hitting on so many points that you asked me why I took the hiatus and why I stepped away. The other thing that I really wanted to lead with is two things I want to lead with in everything that I do. And the first thing is love.
Yeah,
And real love does not ask that question that you ask, well, why are you here anyway? Real love comes in and says, hey, how can we get you to a place where you're better and you're stable, right? And then the next one is empathy. I've got to come in with empathy because now when I go back to go over why you got to where you got to, I'm not doing it to accuse you and say, you shouldn't have been doing this, you shouldn't have been doing this, you should have, yeah, it should have happened like that, and don't do it again. Because now, this was so wild. We're gonna feel fear. And that person probably is fearful when they're talking to you.
yeah,
But nobody told you to keep that fear going by beating them over the head and trying to make them more scared to not to do it again. What you're supposed to do is be empathetic, understand where the fear came from. Now you deal with it from there. That's where stuff comes in and says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I'm empowered now to do something about it when
that's
I
it.
go in with those two things. And I'm gonna be real, I wasn't always like that because, like I said, man, playing sports, bro,
Oh
nobody
yeah,
don't care nothing about your
got
feelings.
time for
It's
that.
like,
Yeah,
dude, either you're gonna make the play or you're not.
yep,
Our
yeah,
boy from Baltimore, the dude that dropped the ball on the goal line, dude, they don't care if their grandmother died that morning. Catch the ball,
yeah,
catch the ball. We don't care. So we're kind of trained to think that way, right?
yeah.
But then when
Especially as
you
men.
approach
Yeah,
things from that different standpoint, bruh, now instead of letting some things be something that you carry for the rest of your life, you can actually deal with them and grow from them.
that's it. You
Yeah, man.
gotta
So
you gotta address these problems so you, like you said, can deal with them and grow from them. And if you're just
yeah,
holding it
man.
inside, it's not helping you. It's not helping people. Man, that stuff can ball up inside of you and just hit a
Mhm. Dude, it
boom.
affects your spirit, it affects your mind,
Yeah.
and eventually it affects your body.
Yep.
All three of those things get affected by that. And I hate to say it, but I even had some really good friends that had things going on that, man, they let it just bubble up and I mean, not bubble up, but stay inside so long that it literally like messed them up from the inside out. And it actually
Yeah.
at times even affected their lives to the point where they aren't here anymore. So
Yeah.
we got to be real about that stuff, men and women, by the way, because we keep saying men, but I know a lot of single moms, man, that go through that same thing. My mom was like that, like, dude,
Yeah.
like she was single, and she's like, I just got to do what I got to do. I don't care what's going on in my life. I, I just got to do what I got to do. And when you have that mindset and don't deal with stuff, man, it could actually wind up hurting the people that you're really trying to help.
Leaders Living Generously Summit. Let the
Awesome, man.
people know what the summit is about. Anything you want to share about it, the
Hmm.
floor is yours.
Yeah. So the Leaders Live Generously Summit is a virtual gathering of leaders from all over the world. And they are going to be sharing things with the people who are there. And by the way, the virtual seats are free. It is free. So you can go and register, www.leaderslivegenerouslysummit.com. It is free. You can register. It's for 2 days, February 17th through the 19th. And each of those leaders from, again, all over the world will be sharing things with you to empower you to be able to deal with those things that we have been talking about during this podcast. If it's fear in your business, or fear in your personal life, or fear to step out and do some things that you never did before, you will be getting tips and techniques on how to expand yourself, to grow, to prosper. The thing that I'll be sharing there, and I've alluded to it a little bit here, is to be an able leader. And one of the things
Mm,
I like to say is all of us are leaders. Like, I've had this argument with people. Oh my God, dude. Like, if you knew the number of arguments that I had with people about everybody being a leader, they like, dude, you crazy. Like, ain't everybody ain't no leader. But I'm like, there are so many areas that you can be a leader
yeah.
in your house, for one, right? With your friends, right? It ain't always just at work or on a sports team. You're a leader even of your own life. So you need to be able to have the tools and techniques needed to be able to be that able leader. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about being an able leader, and then I'm going to narrow it down to having a blueprint to have success in a fast-paced economy. We talked about that at the very beginning with AI and all this
Yeah.
stuff, cultural stuff going on. You gotta have that framework that you can work over and over again so that you can be steady and have a foundation that you can build upon when everything else around you is chaotic. You in a tornado, everything else around you is going crazy, but you in a spot that's stable and strong, and you can withstand all the winds of change that's going on around you. So that's what I'm going to be sharing. And those 2 days are going to be powerful. Dr. Anthony D. Shannon put something together that is off the chain. And hey, man, shout out to you, because I can't wait to be a part of it. And I can't wait to hear what everybody else got to say.
Thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate you taking the
Dude, listen,
time.
this is an amazing platform. And man,
Thank
you're
you.
curating something that's off the chain. So thank you.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Also, before I get out of here, thank you for reaching out to me. When I was contemplating on what to do with my
Hmm.
my blog, I was like, have I kind of ran this course? And then I was thinking about doing, taking it over to Substack.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you reaching out to me, asking me questions that really got me
Hmm.
thinking about it. I thought about it. Of course, I prayed about it, and I thought about it
Hmm.
some more. And what came to me is like I need to do a newsletter because I really don't
Yeah.
bridge my two worlds together, like the poetry, podcasting, and barbecue. And so I
Hmm.
developed that newsletter. And so I want to
Dude,
thank you.
I love it, by the way.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah,
off the
man.
chain.
Appreciate
And,
you.
and,
So
and listen, we talk about summits. I need you to think about, pray about, meditate on, put something together, man, where you bring poets, you could even bring other artists and people like that together. Because, dude, I got a lot of friends who are similar to you all over the world that have a hard time expressing themselves. And if you put something together
mm,
where they could just come and express themselves, it
yeah.
ain't even nothing but, dude, it would be wildly successful. You would get people from everywhere wanting to do that, because it's a lot of people that are like you, that kind of feel by themselves and don't know what to do. And to have a community like that,
Yeah.
that all they want to do is just share and vibe and just, just love on one another, and get stuff from that, it would be powerful.
I have been thinking about throwing an event like a poetry or open mic or
Dude, I
something
come.
like that. Yeah.
I fly out. I would
Yeah.
fly out for that because I love that stuff, man. That's
Yeah.
that's what feeds me. Look, you talking about, yeah, you gonna fly out, you probably be a part of it. See, I know you already. You like, hey, you said it, so
Right.
what's up?
As long as you know.
I already know.
Let the people know how they could get in contact with you, how they can follow you, or sign up for your coaching.
I'm very easy to get in contact with. On Instagram, I am Eric Loves Legacy. My account is Eric Loves Legacy, all together. You put that in, you'll find me. And on LinkedIn, it's just Eric Harrison, Eric L. Harrison. And then my coaching practice, or my company, that I deal with businesses with is EYP coaching. EYP coaching. So if you put that in on any of those platforms, you'll see that as well. And the last thing is the EL Harrison coaching experience with an X. And that is more so the personal coaching and different things like that. And by the way, we'll talk about this next time. I'm making a pivot with that too. And I'm really now dealing mostly with men there. And oh man, we need a whole episode for that one. The website is www.eriklharrison.com. You can go there too, and you'll be able to connect to all that stuff.
Yeah, this season of the podcast, I started having more men guests on, and that's where we're going right now.
You get what I'm saying? It's like I'm drawn to the brothers, man.
Yeah,
There's just something in me that's drawn to
yeah.
men now more than ever. I can't even tell you why. I would be lying if I tried to make up something.
Yeah. I'm feeling that too. So it was just like a shift in the podcast. You know, I have some ladies on later, but right now these guests have just been men, and it just have been some really good conversations, and just like this one.
Dude, I bet you getting filled up too. I know you.
Yeah. Thank you again for joining me, and to my listeners, as always, remember, keep pushing forward. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Brown Sugar Cafe podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Terrence P. Elmore, and this is the place where poetry meets conversation. Hit that follow button and turn on your notifications so you won't miss an episode. Check out my blog, thebrownsugarcafe.blog. Also connect with me on Instagram at thebrownsugarcafe. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and as always, remember, keep pushing forward.